best remedies for hair loss without prescription drugs?
You know, I feel like sometimes guilty for pushing my own products, but I have really good products. And a lot of people have found really good success with taking Testalize for hair thinning or hair loss for that matter, because most hair loss, especially in men and women for that matter, are due to high DHT or dihydrotestosterone levels. Now, it's interesting because when you're younger, DHT makes your hair grow more. Then as you get older, it'll make it fall out and thin. That's what, and men have obviously higher DHT levels because DHT is produced from testosterone. So even though women do produce DHT, men produce a lot more. That's why most women don't lose their hair. But the women do get hair thinning as they get older, especially as they approach menopause. So the key is to block DHT production, but not completely annihilate it. Because if you get rid of too much of it, it affects your sex drive, affects your ability to build muscle. So you kind of just want to get it into normal range. So 3 pills twice a day of Testalize will help do that. And obviously, it's not a prescription. It uses we have a very, very high purity potency form of saw palmetto. You can't just go buy it in any store. I had to source the stuff, and it works really well. But it doesn't lower your DHT too much, and that's why people get good results. I know Chris Aceto loves it because Chris is obsessed with his hair. And he's got a very good head of hair at that. And he was thinning, and he started taking it, and it really helped a lot. I know a lot of women, too, that it's really helped tremendously. That's the main culprit. Now, there are other reasons why people get like these alopecias and stuff like that. But for the most part, male pattern baldness, hair thinning as we get older from taking anabolics is usually due to high DHT levels. So try that out.
Let me unmute myself. We often do get questions about, regular and recurring guests on After Hours. Well, one of the guests that we have not seen on the show for quite some time, and we do get questions. I figured if you want to just address why we haven't seen him on the show and whether we will see him on the show in the near future, Richard Rodriguez.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Richard is in the process of trying to start a really big business. And he's been really, busy. And, him and I will talk to each other occasionally. He's really, remember, Richard did some time in prison. So he lost a lot of good years of making income. And I guess he's trying to make up for lost time because let's face it, at the end of the day, you got to pay your bills. So he's been working on some business ventures. And he said when he's, gets all settled, he'll come back on. He obviously had some really great stories about when he owned, that fake hormone replacement clinic where he was making $22 million a year from. So, we will get him back on at some point. I know Johnny Bravo will come back on at some point. A lot of the guests on After Hours are recurring. Like they come in and out, and they're always welcome. Anyone who I welcome as a guest, who I haven't kicked off the show because they're nuts, are always welcome back. So, and there's been a few of those. We know that's it. So, sometimes people's schedule just doesn't coincide. Some people have to get busy. And that's why I always like to try to change the flavor of the show. The core group of people are always pretty much the same. And then we try to bring in new people, to change the chemistry of what we're talking about. Lately we've been using Larry Pollock and Armand Adibi and Amin Ali. And that seems to be adding a cool flavor to the show, I think, at least. I'm kind of enjoying the episodes. A lot of them are drug-related, steroid-related type episodes. And obviously, Greg is still there, and when Jimmy's not working, he's there, and John Romano. And so it changes, and that's what I love about the show. And a lot of people have reached out to me and said, at first we were mad at you because you took this person off or you put this person on, and then they said to me, I kind of get what you do, and you kind of play around and insert different people to change the chemistry and keep things mixed up, and that's exactly what I do, so the show doesn't get boring. I don't want to talk about the same thing every week. And the only way to change it up is to put new blood in there, so to speak, every so often to change and mix up the chemistry a little bit. And I think actually I really like the show we have right now. I think we have a really good group of people right now.
Let's go to Nico Cantemir, a show day question. Do you take your pills with a sip of water, or do you not take because you don't want to drink water that day?
Yeah, I don't usually recommend doing vitamins the day of the show. If you're going to do if you're taking like clenbuterol and T3 and some Arimidex or something like that, Those are small pills. I would just sip. I usually just take those with a sip of water. But I wouldn't be taking like, all the vitamins and essential fatty acids, because you're just not drinking enough to really flush those down. And to be quite frank, one day of missing them is going to do nothing. There's no reason. And a lot of people, if you don't drink enough fluid with vitamins, a lot of people get indigestion and their stomach hurts. So don't try to jam your vitamins down. Likewise, I usually have people use the Fiberlyze product 3 times the day before the show, because you're not going to be able to use Fiberlyze the day of the show because you're not drinking. Usually what I do is, if it's a Saturday show, Saturday night before bed, once you start eating and drinking, and I do a Fiberlyze shake before bed just to make sure I can go to the bathroom in the morning. But before that, I wouldn't do any vitamins, while you're not drinking.
Theophilos, I have high TSH, low T3, and high T4. Doctor said my T4 doesn't convert to T3, and he suggested exogenous T4 supplementation. That doesn't make sense to me since I don't convert that to T3. Should I supplement with exogenous T3 or T4?
Give me the beginning again. I want to just hear what he's low and high.
Yeah, sure. Again. So he says he has high TSH, low T3, and high T4. And then the doctor made a recommendation, or rather said that T4 doesn't convert to T3 and suggested exogenous T4 supplementation.
Yeah, it sounds kind of ridiculous to me too. If your T4 is high normal and your T3 is low and TSH is high, when thyroid stimulating hormone is high, it's basically your body telling itself, we don't have enough active T3. We don't have enough of the active thyroid hormone. So he's not converting T4 to T3. Taking more T4 is not going to solve the problem because he's not converting it, like he said. So really what he needs to do is probably take either Cytomel, which is direct T3, or he could take, sometimes a lot of people do the Armour thyroid, which contains a little T4 and T3. Personally, I would rather just take T3 because it's a little more precise. But the question is, why isn't he converting T4 to T3? That's the question. And maybe an endocrinologist would be the person to consult first. And, it's sometimes, also I think, and this is probably the thinking process that his doctor has, sometimes people can't convert their own T4 to T3, but then they take an exogenous source of it and it converts. So maybe that's the doctor wants to try that first. The thing that sucks is that he has low T3 right now. So he's probably having, side effects of that. And a lot of times you want to fix it instantaneously. The best way to fix it is to take T3, but it might not hurt to try the T4 for a week or so, get some blood draws. And if it's not raising his T3 up, then go right to the T3.